Hi everyone, welcome back to J Hood Creative again. Thanks for stopping back. This time I thought I'd talk about maybe how I've tried to figure out kind of what my standards are for the condition of books I want to buy. Uh, as I've kind of done this reevaluation on what I collect, certain books have come to the forefront of things that I desire more than I used to. And if these books have any significant monetary value in them, I've struggled to figure out what value I'm looking for. I'm not a slab collector, but I understand as well as anyone, condition is key. So I've done my best to study the old 4th Street grading guide. I've watched the ETA Nick videos. The thing about his videos is he's got these awesome looking books that have this one significant flaw in them. That significant flaw is what determines the grade. And I'm not finding that to be the reality when I go out and hunt. I'm finding books with multiple flaws. Sometimes, it's to me, it's almost impossible to tell. And even in the examples they show in here, they're showing photographs. We can't see like the condition of the cover. Like if we look at it in the light, we can see all the wavy, gravy, stuff that's happening on an aged book. There's no way to examine that, in a book like this. And even E.T.A. Nick doesn't do a whole lot of that. He pretty much has a flat look, down view of a comic showing close-ups of specific flaws. And it's hard to get a look kind of at the book as a whole. So I've been trying to figure out, am I a mid-grade collector? I'm definitely not a low-grade collector. I don't have to have perfect mint condition 9.8 candidates. So what does that mean? Am I a 7.0 collector? I'm looking on an eBay listing. I know I can't trust the number they put on it. I have to look at the pictures, but the number gives an indication of what you might expect if you look closer. So I figured I'm going to kind of walk through my grading system, my personalized grades, show you those, and maybe I might get some feedback on what these grades are. And maybe that will help me understand conditions and help me understand what I'm targeting. I'm finding that there's a little bit of a sliding scale in that, of course, anything newer, I'm going to expect it in a nicer condition than a Silver Age book or something like that. But I'm finding even Silver Age books, I think I'm finding some pretty nice copies out there, and they're not that expensive. So the lowest rung on my grading totem pole is beat. This is a beat comic. I mean, it's got all kinds of color missing. You look at it, you can see all the waves and ripples. It's a well-loved comic. Tape pull. Corners are pretty well dented. I can tell from the feel of it, it's had water damage. It's got that kind of stiff, ripply feel to it. But so why would I pay for something like this? Okay, so with Green Lantern, the Silver Age Green Lantern, Gil Kane stuff, I'm not that particular on condition. I just want the books. And I wouldn't say low grade is better than no grade, but I'm positive I paid less than $5 for this. I might have paid $2 or $3 for it. So that's one example of a beat comic. Here's a key. So this is supposed to be, I guess, the start of Batman in the Silver Age, where he gets the yellow oval behind his bat symbol on his chest. And this book is beat. You can see stains there from, it had to have been tape. Is there tape on the inside? Yeah, there. So we've got tape holding the cover to the innards of the book. Um, yeah, the first couple pages are detached. I'm positive I didn't pay any significant amount of money. I doubt if I paid close to $10 for this. But it's one of those cases where it's a key Batman book. I'm a Batman collector. Like I said, I've always been a cheap collector. I wasn't into spending a lot of money. So I ended up with a beat copy of a key book. This is a book I would like to upgrade. This is the first appearance of Banshee. So it's a key, but it's got, there at the top, it's got a rip. It's got a terrible color break. It's got a spine tear. Color breaking spine ticks all over the place. A lot of people are concerned about page quality. I'm not terribly. This is white pages, not bad. This is, like I said, this is a book it's currently on my higher up on my priority list to hunt down. I'll tell a story about my early X-Men collection later, but this is one of the books. So again, a lot of color loss. A lot of waves and ripples, creases, beat. And this book is one that I thought really needed my attention. So again, I'll talk about how I came across this book in a video in the future. So here we've got X-Men 101. It's the first appearance of the Phoenix Force, or Jean Grey as the Phoenix. And so what shifted my thinking here? So I had the book. Again, it's beat. It's got all kinds of color breaks. And this would have qualified up to my next level if it didn't have a huge water stain damage thing going on there. See if I can get it in the picture. There. I don't think anybody, well, I hope somebody didn't pee on it, but maybe. So again, key book. I'm a big time X-Men fan. I want to have all the key books in nice condition, so I kind of had to reevaluate. As I'm looking at my collection, I'm thinking, as an X-Men collector, you should have a better condition book than that. So we're going to talk about both of these again in just a minute. So beat is my lowest rung. Next is crunchy. So this one's crunchy. This one, all the edges, they're relatively nice. The corners might have little bends and creases. It's relatively flat. I don't know how it is. When I don't want the glare, I can't get it. When I want the glare, there. So, it's something that if it didn't have the color breaks, it could use a press to get it into nicer shape. But, so again, sliding scale. On a book like this, in a case like this, I'm rebuying this from when I was a kid. I have no idea how I would have lost track of my G.I. Joe 21. It's one of the most iconic G.I. Joe books there ever was. And it was one of my favorites as a kid. I kept through issue 15, 1 to 15, something like that, and then a few other issues later on. But so when I'm looking for a book like this, if it's a book where I just want to replace the one I had, I'm looking for a copy in similar condition or better. This one is probably not as good a condition as the one I had as a kid. Even as a kid, I knew how to handle my books so they didn't get too beat up. but the price is right on this one. This one, bought it maybe 5 years ago. I think I paid, is between $10 and $20. I think the sticker price on it was $20. I don't think I paid the full sticker price for it. So that's a crunchy comic. Here's another example of a crunchy book. So it's got pretty serious big spine crease right here, or not spine crease, but a color breaking crease. A lot of spine ticks. And as I've been hunting for a replacement of this book, I always find that it's real common that this condition is common for this particular book. And especially this flaw right here. For some reason, a lot of them end up with this really severe spine tick. And I can't figure out why that would have been that common of a problem. But this isn't necessarily a key. Oh, I guess it is a key because it's the first appearance of Starjammers, I believe. But to me, I've got a t-shirt with that on it. That's one of the most iconic images of the X-Men that's ever been published, drawn by Dave Cockrum. So again, I had this, and it's beat, or not beat, it's crunchy. It's got enough stuff in it that I'm not real happy with the condition. We'll talk about this one again too. So from there we go to acceptable. This is an acceptable comic. It might have spine ticks in it, but they're relatively few and not noticeable. No severe creases. The one significant flaw this one has is it's missing there. It's got a chunk missing out of the cover. I'm going back, and this one I think was drawn by Jim Aparo, yeah. But I want to get like some of the Nick Cardy Aquaman books, and this cover, for my money, as far as cover buying, this is one of the best covers that's ever graced a comic book. I'm not a huge Aquaman fan by any means, but the design, the color, it all just works on this one. So I wanted to make sure I had a nice enough copy of this book. So if an acceptable comic means I'm keeping it, I've got no qualms with it. A crunchy comic is something I'd consider replacing, but it's probably not a high priority to replace. So we've had beat, we've had crunchy, we've had acceptable. Now we get into nice. So a book like this, it's in nice condition. It does have one significant flaw, and that's that little corner tear. But the edges are nice, the corners are nice, the color is nice. There we go again. I get the perfect glare and then wipe it out. The cover is really flat. It does have one spine tick there, looks like. And it does have a few minor spine ticks, but overall, the fact that it's so flat, glossy, and the edges are nice make up for the spine ticks in this case. Here's another nice comic. Again, it's nice and flat. See if I can get that glare going again. There it is. The edges are clean. Virtually no spine ticks. The corners, you know, they've had the corners taken off a touch. They're not crisp. But so talk about sliding scales and what I'm willing to pay for what. On books like the Nick Cardy Aquamans and the Gil Kane Green Lanterns like this, they're books I want. They're not super high priorities, but I found this one for $5 in this condition. I'm not a huge enough fan to know what these books and these conditions are worth. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm setting my own market. I'm saying I'm looking for a book in this condition. I'm willing to pay a certain dollar amount. For this, I might have paid up to 15 bucks, maybe 20, but sometimes, you know, you just strike gold. You find a great deal, 5 bucks for a book in this good a condition. So we've had beat, crunchy, acceptable, nice, and just like in the graders, the official grade definitions, that we're going to add an adjective, very nice. So here's a very nice comic. This replaces this copy. So in cases like this, it's going to be, you know, almost perfectly flat. The edges are going to be great. You might have 1 or 2 spine ticks. Got a little thing on the corner there. That's okay. To find this book in this condition is pretty tough, especially under my ouchie price. I paid under my $40 ouchie price for this. I want to say it was probably in the $30 to $35 range shipped off of eBay. But this just goes to show you, sometimes, and a lot of people, experienced shoppers say this, you just have to be patient. You have to really look specifically for what you want, and just be patient, and it will come to you eventually. Okay, I'm going to skip over one other very nice book here for a second and go on to my top tier is mint. When I was a kid, we didn't have near mint. We weren't looking for something near mint. We wanted mint condition, right? So here's my rebuy of the X-Men 114. It's mint because you can't find anything wrong with it. No spine ticks. Corners are perfect. Glossy. Great color. If I send this into CGC, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know if they're going to call it a 9.8 or a 9.6. I've heard it said that CGC says, or anything you think is mint, call it a 9.4 until CGC tells you otherwise. Okay, so yeah, this does have a couple little dents. You saw it right there. There. Right where the highlight is. So those aren't color breaking, so they might press out. So this with a press, nah. This back corner is got a slight tick in it, and not a tick, but it's blunted just slightly, and a couple other spine creases that would press out. So best case scenario, CGC calls this a 9.6. I call it mint. It's close enough to perfect for me. So I was talking about the 181 or the 101. So I'm watching all you guys show all your key books, and I'm reevaluating my collection, you know, thinking I need to upgrade this. So, and this is what got me thinking and trying to figure out, okay, what would satisfy me? What am I looking for? What condition is good enough for this, and at what price? So at the time I kind of started thinking about this, this was in this condition, it goes for $100 on eBay all day. So I'm thinking, okay, I can sell my beater copy for $100 sometime in the future. Obviously, I haven't been able to part with it yet. Put another $100 in it with it, and so what could I get for that price? And what I was finding is, as far as shopping on eBay, you couldn't find a lot. Okay, let me put it like this. I wasn't finding a nice copy for under my ouchie price at that point of a $200 buy-in. So I studied the sold listings hard. I waited months. I watched a lot of auctions go by. I bid on some up to $200 and lost. And so I started thinking about, okay, let's look at this eBay buying from a different perspective. A lot of sellers will have different ways to buy. You can do the auction, you can do buy it now, or you can do make an offer. So I was looking at buy it now prices, and all the buy it now prices were all out of whack. You could buy this for $200, buy it now. I was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. So I started thinking, okay, what about making offers? So, and I thought, I know there are some people, some buyers or sellers out there that are just like, I'm going to put this out at some wacky price and hope somebody buys it, and I'm just going to let it sit out there. And then, but they make an offer on it, right? So I found this one. This is a very nice copy. It's not mint. It's a better condition than I was hoping to find. Cover is almost perfectly flat. I was concerned about centering because centering on this book is all over the place. Sometimes you get a big wide white edge from from being off register, or the image shifting above or below the cutoff. The significant flaws in this are there are a few very minor spine ticks, and then essentially all four corners are just touched off. They're decent. They're not what I would call blunted. They've just lost their crispness. Back cover has a printer's crease in it, so that doesn't count against you as far as CGC goes. One really, really minor color breaking crease down here at the corner. Not even sure if it would come on camera. There it goes. So this guy had this listed at, I want to say, $375, something like that. And I saw what the books were going for in auctions. I'm not going to sit here and hold this nice copy all day, so I'll hold my beer just for interest's sake. So so I sent him an offer, and I put in an offer at my full buy-in at $200, and he came back and he wanted, I don't know, $300 or something like that. And I had a birthday, so I had some extra money I could throw in, and he came back. I think I went up to he came back at $300. I came back at $225 or something like that. He came back at $275 shipped. So I told him my bottom dollar is $250 shipped. And he said, I'll take your offer at $250, but you have to pay for shipping. And I told him, I wish you luck in finding a buyer. And he said, okay, deal. So this is the only comic I've ever spent 3 figures on. Up until this, I'd bought like big omnibuses and hardcovers with slipcases and things like that, up to about $100 price point. But I've never bought a floppy copy for 3 figures before, so this is the first time. And if I had not started watching YouTube, I probably never would have thought about it. I'm not anxious to spend lots of money like this on single issues, but I've moved from saying there are books that I want that I'll never have. They're grails. I'll never be able to afford them to. Well, if I sell an original piece of art that puts a big chunk of money into my pocket that I don't have otherwise. So now I'm in the market. I'm in the market for, hopefully next spring I'll be able to afford a giant size X-Men 1 where I'll be paying 4 figures for a comic. But on something like that, I really do see it as an investment. It is something that's going to generate income for my family down the road. Um, I'll be smart enough to buy it at a price point where if an emergency happens the next day, I can find a way to flip it and get all the money out of it, maybe a little bit more. So, but thanks for watching. I was happy to show you kind of how I've evolved my thinking as far as buying based on what I see from the YouTube comic book community. Hopefully maybe you guys got something out of it. But hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and remember, faith, family, comic books. We'll see you next time.